Hi guys, how are you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Neil here, and today we're going to discuss fingerboard radius. It's a spec that is quite often ignored, quite often overlooked. We look at pickups when we're buying a guitar, we look at the bridge, we look at the fret type nowadays, we look at the nut, we look at the bodywood, we look at all these things, but quite often we ignore the fingerboard radius. And what I've realized over quite some time is that fingerboard radius is really important to my playing, and we're going to discuss why in this video, and we're going to start with talking about the compound radius and whether we actually need it or not. Okay guys, so first of all, let's talk about the compound radius. Now this guitar here is one of my favorite guitars. This is a Schecter Solo 2 Evil Twin. This guitar has a compound radius. I think it's 12 to 16 and it plays great. It's an absolutely fantastic guitar. The neck is super thin. The nut width is super narrow, and obviously the scale length as well is short at 24.75. Now the reason I want to talk about compound radius first is because what I found recently is, after playing tons of guitars on the channel for brands and demoing them, I found that a compound radius is a big sell. You know, when I was a Jackson Guitars artist, all their necks, the speed neck, is a compound radius 12 to 16 inch. And it's a big selling point for them. And when I was a Jackson artist, it was the first time I've ever really thought about fingerboard radius. And because I played the Jackson so well, just like I do the Evil Twin, I thought, well, compound radius works well for me. However, since then, I've been sent quite a few guitars that have a flat radius all the way up. So let's talk about the radius of the fingerboard and how it works first. We'll try and be pretty brief because I know you guys, a lot of you will know about this already. But basically the curvature of your fingerboard is the radius, okay? And I'll put a little diagram on there for you guys so you can see it a bit clearer. But what a compound radius is at the first, you know, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh fret area where you would be supposedly playing chords, it's a rounder surface to play on, and as you get up high it flattens out. So it starts at 12, it flattens out to 16 up high to make it easier, because everyone's assuming that we're going to be playing super fast up high and we prefer the flat fingerboard radius, and we're going to be playing chords, you know, on the other half, the bottom end of the neck. Now the thing is here is that for me and the style I play, which is metal, it's all pretty quick, it's all pretty nimble. There's a lot of single note riffs, not that many big chords, but why not have the 16-inch radius all the way up? So, rewinding back to the early summertime, Schecter sent me out a Sunset Extreme guitar. It was a 16-inch radius neck. Now, the reason I noticed that something was different about that guitar is because the neck on this Evil Twin is an ultra-thin C, one of my favourite necks out there. The neck on the Sunset Extreme was also an ultra-thin C neck, but it felt fast as lightning. It was super fast, like ridiculously fast, like almost my fingers were getting carried away with myself and I couldn't understand what was going on. But I did kind of think, I need to look at the specs here because it's something fingerboard related. I looked and it was a 16-inch radius all the way up. So the board was flat all the way up and the same radius all the way up, as opposed to starting at 12 and going to 16. Now, this made me realise, you know, and question whether I actually need a compound radius. And I know a lot of brands are pushing guitars saying, this guitar has a compound radius. But the question is that compound radius better for you or not? Or is it just a bit of a gimmick to say we've put a compound radius on this guitar? All the Jacksons have compound radiuses on. I play them just fine. I play them great, don't get me wrong. I play the Solo 2 as well, just absolutely fine and great, and I love them. And I can play a compound radius with no issues, especially if the neck's fast, like the Schecter or the Jackson. However, what I'm trying to say is that when the fingerboard is flatter all the way up, like a 14-inch radius all the way up or a 16-inch radius all the way up, I seem to be able to play easier and more fluent. Now, I don't go up high that often, so above the 15th fret, that can be as flat as you like. I'm only going to use that every now and then. The main part of my playing is probably the 15th fret, you know, down to the 1st, and what I'm thinking is that is why I'm finding it easier, because it's flatter there and I'm more nimble there, like what the compound radius would give you up high. if that makes sense. So yeah, I had another guitar on the channel which was the Sinister Gates Custom S Relic. That was a 16-inch all the way up as well, and the neck, although it's down as an ultra thin C, the Sinister Gates ultra thin C is slightly bigger than the regular ultra thin C on other models like the Evil Twins, and I played it like lightning even though I knew that neck was thicker. And the reason was because that fingerboard was flatter all the way up, you know, it was 16-inch all the way up. So yeah, what I'm saying is, when you are buying a guitar, when you are checking guitars out, if you come across a guitar that plays super easy, go in the spec sheet, you know, have a look through it and try and figure out exactly what made playing that guitar easier for you. Because when you think it's the neck, or the fret size, or the nut width like I discussed in a previous video, it could actually be the fingerboard radius, okay? A lot of guys jumped on me for not mentioning the radius in the previous video, but that video was long enough as it was. I didn't want to go on and put too much information in it, and I already knew I was going to make part 2 about a compound radius. Now, I'm not saying don't buy guitars with compound radiuses. I've got another Schecter Evil Twin on the way with a compound radius, and I know I will play it just fine. So it doesn't stop me buying them, but I am fully aware that a 16-inch all the way up is plays a bit easier and a bit faster. The Dean here, if I can get it out without scratching it, the Dean 0 here, I think, is 14-inch, so it kind of sits in the middle all the way up. The neck is not super thin like the Schecter. The board's about average, you know, width. It's quite narrow around the nut, but when you get up high, it does widen out quite a bit. But what I'm saying is, this is a 14-inch radius, and it plays well, and it plays quick all the way up because it's a 14-inch radius all the way up. I don't struggle with chords on it or anything, you know, even though it's the same radius. So I'm not sure that chords are any easier when you have a 12-inch radius. You know, a bit of a curvature in the fingerboard, I'm not sure that that makes it easier to play anything on, in my opinion. But that's only my opinion, guys. Don't forget that it's only my experience, my opinion, and my personal taste. But the reason I make these videos is because I want to help you guys out when you're buying guitars, and I want to give you some of my knowledge, you know, because it's taken me years to even consider looking at fingerboard radius and examining specs on guitar sheets. And I've realized over time that there are little specs on there that I was ignoring that are super crucial to making guitars play a lot easier for myself. Obviously, when you get past the beginner stage, you can play any guitar that's in your hand, no matter what size your hands are. However, it's about making playing comfortable and easy. Playing should never be a chore. Playing should be easy, and if you can find an instrument that plays easier than others, then why not play it? Thanks very much for watching, guys. Please let me know down in the comments what fingerboard radius you prefer and what guitars have them on. You really took part really well in the last video. I mentioned loads of different guitars. There were Strandbergs were getting mentioned a lot, and also Ernie Balls were getting mentioned a lot for having really nice necks on and being really comfortable. So thanks very much for that, guys. I want you to do that again in the comments, and we can all learn from each other. And you know, unless you work in a music store where you can just play tons of guitars every day, or have a YouTube channel like this where you're constantly getting them sent out, then it can be quite hard to choose a guitar online. Hope this helps, guys. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you all soon.